All right, welcome everyone to the InstructLab Core meeting for December 12th, 2024. I think, that there'll be a mention about the name change sometime in in this meeting. But before we get started with the main agenda, let's go through the usual things to remember. So our meetings are governed by the InstructLab Community Code of Conduct, and we do record our meetings to be posted in the InstructLab YouTube channel. So you'll find this in a day or two after the meeting in the channel. And if you prefer not to be on camera, please feel free to turn your cameras off, or you can also call in via phone. And if you're online, on Google Meet, you can use the raise hand function to ask questions or comment. If you rather use the chat, it's also available. This chat function in Google Meet to, again, raise questions or discussion points that you may have, and we'll bring it into the meeting. And we'll also publish the chat transcript after the meeting. And I think we're good to go. So something about nomination for the new, is it CLI triager or core triager in this case?
I guess now it's core triager. Yeah, good point. It still says CLI triager on the issue, but
okay,
probably change that. It's just a reminder for folks to vote on this.
Right.
Carol, I did go in and change the names on GitHub, so it's like core triagers and core maintainers.
Yeah.
But I think I still need to get the maintainer automation approved, which would be this here. If you can approve and merge that one.
All right. Do I have merge rights? Oh, yes, I do. All right. Okay, just taking a quick look. Yeah, looks good to me.
Oh, yeah.
Done. All right, now go vote, everyone, for the new core triager. Any other thing you want to raise about this topic?
It's for Reed Lou. He's made a good amount of contributions and reviews and such, and has expressed interest in being a triager. So I made this nomination, and yeah, I think we'll probably close out the voting. It's kind of weird with the holidays. Say vote till the end of the year, then next year we can take a look at it, and if we have a good number of votes, we can go ahead and nominate, add it to the team. Yeah, and so maybe we say, Carol, just like voting closes at the EOY. I feel like most people are going to end up going to the holidays around that anyway. Yeah. I'll comment on the issue about that.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so are we ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, I can talk about that one a little bit.
Okay, thanks.
It's it's sort of a doc I made about the kind of a general roadmap, a very high level step one between now and a 1.0.0 for core. The doc is still named CLI, which I should probably change. But yeah, one thing, there's please feel free to take a look if you have questions. We can talk about it in the core Slack channel, or if there's any updates we want to make, we can have subsequent PRs. But the big thing I wanted to highlight was what Carol was talking about, is this sort of general name change. So we talked about this a bit last meeting, so I won't go too deep into it, but we've always kind of referred to this as the CLI, and it will continue to be a CLI, but there's also going to be sort of REST API components and other orchestration components, some RAG implementation potentially. So we voted to change the name of it to Core, since that's felt a little more appropriate, a bit better descriptor of what the sort of instruct-lab package itself is. The libraries will be unchanged. It'll still be SDG training and eval. But yeah, I would ask if you're looking at anything upstream, any documents, anything, any project artifacts, you see CLI being used where it seems like it should be core, to please open a PR. And we want to try to get all those documents updated, as soon as we can, not crazy urgent, but, appreciate any helping hands with that.
Okay. Thank you for that. And any other comment on the roadmap? Cool. Oh, new release today. Nathan, or are you going to talk about this as well, or?
Charlie, you want to talk about this?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to be cutting 0.22 today. Off the top of my head, compared to everything that got into 0.21, I'm not entirely sure of any super major changes. Nathan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. That weren't in 21.2 that are going to be in this. I know we like the metadata change, the config file was the biggest sort of code change to merge in the last couple of days. Just looking at the change log here to see if there's anything major.
Skills only training, I think, is going in.
Sorry, what was that?
Skills only training, I think, is going.
Oh, right. Yeah. So the ability to do the multi-phase training, but just with skills, is something that doesn't directly impact, I think, most user workflows in the community upstream, but it's useful to know that you can do knowledge with skills or just skills by itself now. And yeah, so look for that later in the day, probably sometime in the afternoon.
Are there any breaking changes, or is this just a?
Well, we already did in 21.2, we did the config change to add metadata. So that was technically a quote unquote breaking change, but it wouldn't break your config. It would just change it, I think. That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head that would be considered breaking.
Do you think we should add that to the change log before we do the release?
Yes.
What do you think?
Probably.
Okay. Would you mind doing that at some point?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, real quick. Just send it over to me and we can get that in.
Yep.
Cool.
Sounds good.
But yeah, we're going to release this afternoon. We have a new member of the community, Courtney, who I don't think is in the meeting. We actually might still need to tell her about this meeting. But she's going to be handling a lot of the release aspects going forward. So at some point when we get her in here, we'll have her introduce herself.
Yeah, please do. So JD mentioned that additional fields should not be considered breaking change.
Yeah, it's not breaking. It is like a different way of how we're categorizing hardware, though. So I think calling it out in the change log, just as like, hey, if you see this new, it's a new class also in the config. It's not necessarily just new fields.
I guess if you had an old profile and you tried to use it with 22, that would break, no? Because it wouldn't have the metadata fields?
Yeah, so if you hit no when that in the init prompting, when it's like, oh, you have profiles and you want to override them, that will break the auto detection.
So maybe under the breaking change, we can just say like note the addition of the metadata fields and be like any existing profiles you might have will need this field added to be usable.
Yeah.
But in that case, the breaking change isn't the addition of metadata fields. It's the fact that we don't still also support reading the file name, because that's the thing that's actually breaking it. So maybe just word it that way.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll do some wordsmithing on this one.
Yeah. Why don't you just add me and JD to that one, Charlie, and then the two of us can look at it and improve, change up the wording or whatever. Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Will there be any more releases expected between this one and the new year?
No.
Okay.
You can see the release dates in the milestones.
All right. Yeah. Thanks.
Next one will be 23, which I think is targeted for mid to late January. I want to say January 24th off the top of my head. But this will be the last release of 2024. We did 22 releases this year, I think. Yeah. Wow, indeed. 22 if you don't include Z streams. It's probably closer to like 30. Really makes you think.
Mm-hmm. And the first release wasn't even like beginning of the year. It was like what, April, May, right?
Something like that.
So yeah. So basically like half a year or 7 months. Or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
We'll see what the new year brings.
Yeah.
There probably will be some changing up to the release cadence. I know that the idea of 4 weeks has been floated. The idea of 2 weeks has been floated. We generally do 3 weeks ish right now for upstream releases. So, that may change. But yeah. And then, of course, obviously, relating to that document, the goal is to get to a stable state where we can do a 1.0, and then that'll be a whole new era for us.
Right.
So we're still a pre
Yep.
1.0 project, which is crazy. But
Yeah. Exciting. All right. Thanks.
thank you.
Okay. Before we get to Ali's topic, we do want to talk about the upcoming meetings. So for next week, I'm actually not able to host the meeting. Can I have somebody who plans to attend to just kind of take care of the usual hosting stuff?
Do we maybe want to cancel next week's too?
That's
Unless
another
anyone feels
possibility.
strongly otherwise. This is the holidays. Folks might be on PTO. Seeing a lot of
Right.
thumbs ups. And since we won't be doing another release this year, yeah, let's cancel
Good
this.
point. All right, so
Everybody loves less
cancel
meetings.
December, at least the 19th, probably the 26th. I think it's a holiday for a lot of people. So
Yeah, 26 I definitely want to. I don't know about others, but
and what about
I-
January? Was it second?
second.
The following one, because while it's officially not a holiday anymore, January 1st is the holiday, but I don't know if many people are coming back right on January 2nd and want to have a meeting then.
I won't be there.
Yeah, I won't
I'll
be back.
off.
Yeah, so I think
So maybe the second too.
See you guys in a
Winner.
month.
basically. Any
Well,
objections to canceling all three?
sounds like no. See you all in a month. Enjoy 0.22.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Did somebody say something?
I just coughed.
Okay. All right. So yes, well, it's a few, January 9th, so slightly less than a month, but 4 weeks basically. Cool. All right, Ali, you want to go ahead about the CLI configuration design dev doc?
Yeah. Over the last month or so, I've been thinking about improvements to the configuration and like our workflows around that. I have a dev doc out that I know is going to change drastically, but kind of puts some of my thoughts in it. Some of the highlights of it are getting rid of config in it, making a very clear hierarchy of like when configuration is applied. Not relying on a config file on disk, and also a reorganization of the config file. Nathan, Charlie, Jaydeep, and I talked about it last week, and I think Jalen was also there. And I shot an email to the email list. I actually prefer if we move like a lot of the discussion to the email list or onto GitHub. But it was just something I wanted to highlight. I'd like to like come to some kind of agreement on it, or on like what changes you can make, and have and like a plan as a group to have those changes span some number of releases so that others members in the community can contribute and that people will know it's coming. Like Jaydeep's comment today about like the addition of fields shouldn't be considered breaking changes. That makes a lot of sense, but we don't have a way to like keep your existing config and then add new fields right now that would be added in a new release, for example. But yeah, if you got anything, any comments, feel free to message me on Slack or Discord or respond to the email.
Charlie, go ahead.
Oleg, we can't hear you, by the way. No.
No.
I can like hear like a faint like whisper at
Yeah.
best. But I was just gonna say, Ali, personally, I don't know how others feel about this, but I feel like we've been talking about this for a while. And the best way for me to look at it is probably to make the PR that does the config changes. I feel like I kind of need to see the breadth of what you're describing here in code and sort of in the classes of the config, even if it's draft PR. I would like I feel like the dev doc is a great place to have the conversation, but it might make sense to do it in unison with some code for people to kind of look at, because it's hard for me to give a lot of feedback on this because a lot of what you're describing is super abstract. And I feel like I need to see the implications of this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I've also got a branch associated with the dev doc too. But yeah, I'll definitely start opening up some PRs, at least for some of the lower hanging fruit.
Yeah, the part about not having to rely on an existing config file, I think we are all fine with that. The only point of contention for me was that, like, I think you are in favor of not having a version at all and still changing the structure of the entire config file. That part, I think I would hesitate for. Like, if you want to change the structure of it, that's fine, but we would still probably want to version it and have like some kind of translation and maintain it that way. But other than that, I don't have any major issues with what you're proposing.
Yeah, and I might see what making I might try to hack up a translation tool too, because I can see how like having a workflow to move a user from one version's config to the other is really valuable and gives them the satisfaction to know that, oh, I upgraded, my config's all up to date now, and I'm good.
Yeah. If we actually end up thinking that we definitely want to implement that, I can work with you on it, because I already created an issue a while back and I had some ideas for how that might work that I've captured in that.
So did y'all see the comments in the Oleg made because his mic is not working? Yeah.
Yeah, you can set defaults for new fields and make them optional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, addition is usually not as much of a problem as like wanting to remove fields or change it. That's where like it completely breaks. So all of that can be handled by the translation layer, essentially.
All right. Okay, I put the links to the GitHub issue and Ali's email on the mailing list. So please take a look and respond. I also agree that especially for some of the longer discussions, it might be better to be on the mailing list. So we have a history of that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to use that discussion to start kicking off mailing list discussion.
Thanks for that. Any more comments about this configuration design? Okay, any other topics? Everybody ready for the holidays? I am.
So ready.
Yeah.
I'm leaving for, I think, 2 straight weeks, and I'm taking the entire time off. I'm not even taking my work laptop with me.
Yeah, don't turn off everything.
I
yeah,
won't.
like all the notifications, Slack,
Oh, yeah.
email. Yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for the wonderful 22 releases so far this year. And well, there's one coming up today, but there's take a well-deserved break this holidays because there's going to be a lot more work coming up for us in 2025. So this is the last InstructLab Core meeting. CLI just recently renamed to Core. For 2024, we will re-adjourn here in 2025 on January 9th. Sorry, 7th is a community meeting. January 9th. And yeah, have a good break, everyone. It's so nice to, see all our progress and everybody's hard work throughout the year. And I feel so honored to be part of this group. Mostly, y'all are doing the work. I'm just helping you, to share the messages around. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Happy holidays.
Bye. Happy
Thank you.
holidays.